Have you ever wondered why Stateflow remembers the latest value while the regular flow always starts from scratch for every collector? The answer lies in understanding hot flows. In the previous episode, we learned what a cold flow is and how multiple collectors behaves with cold flow. And in this episode, we will deep dive into hot flows and explore what a hot flow is, understanding state flows and shade flows, how hot flow differs from cold flows, and when to use which one in Android apps. By the end of this video, you will clearly understand why state flow and shade flows are essential tools for modern Android apps. So let's get started. Hot flow is a type of flow which emit values regardless whether there is any collector or not. So let's understand the hot flow with the analogy of a radio station. Let's say music is playing 24/7 on radio station. And if I tuned in at 1 p.m., then I missed everything which played before 1 p.m. I only hear which is being broadcast right now, and multiple listeners hear the same content at the exact same time. So the key characteristics of hot flows are they are active immediately whenever the instance of that hot flow is created. And the second characteristic is the multicast, that multiple collectors will receive the same value. And the third characteristic is the memory lifespan, that they live in memory independently unless we scope the lifespan of the hot flow using coroutine scope. So there are two main implementation of hot flows: state flows and shade flows. State flow is a state holder observable which emits the current and the new updates to its collectors. There are three characteristics of the state flow that this requires initial value, replay the last known value to its new collector, and conflate values, which means that if the new value coming is the same as the previous one, then this will skip that emission to the collectors. So let's understand this with this example, that here I have user repository, and in this initial code I have here the user class which contains data, ID, name and address, and in the companion I have empty function which return the empty instance of this user object. So here I will create a function named as getUser. This will return the instance of the user, and in here I will create the instance of the user object. Okay, so this function will return the instance object of the user. So in the main view model, here I will create the instance of this user repository. User repository, and also create a state flow. So private var state flow, mutable state flow, and create the instance of this mutable state flow, and also provide the initial value to this one. So user dot empty, so initially this will contain an empty user object, and also create another data member which will be a public one, and this will be an immutable state flow. So state flow dot as state flow. Now in here we will create another function named as fetch user. This will get the user object from the repository. So user repository dot get user. So we have the user object here. Now we need to update this into the state, so we can get that information on the UI side whenever the value changes. So stateflow dot update and provide the new available users to the state flow. So on the UI side here, we will start collecting this state flow. So we will use side effect function launched effect and provide the key here true. Actually, I will go to this section here in the set content section. So view model dot state flow and collecting this user and print that in the logs. Okay, so let's run the app and verify this behavior of state flow with this single collector. And open the logcan and provide the filter here, main activity. Actually, before that, we have to also call this fetch user function from here. So from button 1, I will call the function fetch user. Okay, so our app is up and running, and in the logs we are seeing this empty user in the logs which we are receiving in this first collector. So at this point, if I click on this button 1, then the fetch user method will be called, and the new user instance, the new user object will be updated in the state flow. So that's why we are getting the updated user in the collector. So now we will observe that how this will behave with the new collector. So for that purpose, here I will create a variable which have the coroutine scope. Remember the coroutine scope and press Alt Enter to import it. Remember coroutine scope. Okay, and when user click on button 1, then we will start the second collector. So in the first collector here I will use collect 1. So scope dot launch. Okay, starting this second collector, usually we do not collect values like this on the UI side in this section, but here our purpose is to understand that how state flow will behave with multiple collectors. So let's run the app and verify this behavior. Okay, so our app is up and running, and in the logcat here, in the first collector we are seeing this empty user object. If I click on button 1, then now in the state flow we have a user object which contains ID, name and address. And now if I tap on this button 2, then the second collector will be start. And in the second collector we are seeing this user object information, this user information. So this is the behavior of state flow, that this will replace the last noun value to any new collector immediately. And the next characteristic is to verify the conflate values, which means that if the new value coming in the state flow is the same as the previous one, then this will not emit those and the updated value to the collectors. So let's say if I tap on this button 1, then we will not get any of the any change in these collectors. This is because in the user repository we are returning the instance of the user which is on data class. So if the content is same, then the hash code of this new object will be same as the previous one. That's why stateflow is considering this as the same value. So if I do a little change here and generate a random ID, press Alt Enter to import it and run the app. Okay, so our app is up and running and if I tap on button 1, we are getting this user object which have ID endings 462, and if I tap on button 2, then the second collector will be start collecting the values, and in here we are getting the same instance because the last noun user object will be emitted to the new collectors. And now if I tap on button 1 again, then the fetch user method will be called, and we are getting the new value in the both collectors, and the user ID ending is 036, so we are getting this new value in both two collectors. So what is shared flow? A shared flow is a highly configurable hot flow which used for events rather than states. Events can be show autos, navigating to any next screen, or navigating to previous screen, or show snack bar. So these kind of events, for these kind of events we use hot flows. But to understand how it differs from the state flow, there are three characteristics of the shared flow. The first one is that it does not require any initial value, and the second characteristic is the configurable replay, that we can decide that how many last values will be emitted to the new collectors. By default the replay value is 0, but if let's say we set it to 4, then shared flow will remember the four recent values, and whenever the new collector starts, then those values will be emitted to the new collector. So let's see this example. And that event can be data class show toast, and the second will be navigate next, pass the route in it, and make another copy of this one and navigate. Okay, actually navigate next and navigate back. This will be our data object. So now in here we will create an shared flow. So I will name it as events. This will be mutable shared flow and pass a UI event in it. Mutable shared flow. So now in here this will not require any initial value. So now we will expose an immutable vision for this one, from which we can access on the UI side. So shared flow, convert this immutable to mutable vision to the immutable vision of shared flow. Okay, and in here we will create some function to emit to trigger those events. Show toast event will be UI event dot show toast, and successfully update successfully. Actually I will rephrase it to successfully updated, and emit this function in the shared flow. So here events dot emit, and so this emit function is a suspend function, so we will wrap this into a coroutine scope. Okay, so now we will create separate function for other events as well. So I will make a copy of this one and rename it to navigate next. Let's say we are navigating to settings screen and enable it to navigate back. Import the instance of navigate back. Now on the UI side, in here in the main activity, I will comment this section and start collecting this the events of which are coming from the view model. So launch effect true, and in here view model dot events dot collect, and print that in the log. So log d, this is the first collector, so collect one, and print the event in the logs. And on the button one click, I will call the show toast method, and on button 2 I will call the view model dot navigate next method. So let's run the app and verify the behavior, see the behavior of this collect with the shared flow. Okay, so our app is up and running, and we are not seeing any event information in the log cat. This is because we haven't fired any event in the shared flow, and by default this contains no initial value. So the collector is started, but because there is no value in the memory, so that's why we are not seeing anything in the log. If I tap on button 1, let's say clear the logs, and if I tap on button 1, then we will see this first event show toast in the logs. And if I tap on button 2, then we are seeing this second in the log, second event in the logs. So now we will see how the second collector will behave. By default, the replay value is 0. So in here I will create another button. So select this portion of code, press Ctrl D to make a copy of it, and this will be button 3. Button 3 on click, Ctrl D to make a copy of this one as well. So button 3 on click. Okay, so when we tap on button 3, then we will start the second collector. So view model the scope dot launch, and in that we will start the second collector. And pin that event in the logs. And in the previous section we also provide this parameter here, button 3. Okay, so let's run the app. Okay, so our app is up and running. I will clear these logs first and tap on button 1. We are seeing the first event in the collector, button 2 second event in the collector 1, and when I tap on button 3, then the second collector will start. But we are not seeing anything in here because by default the replay value is 0. So now we will go to our main view model and set the replay value to 2. Now this will remember the last recent 2 events. So let's run the app again. Okay, so app is up and running, and now I will clear the logs and tap on button 1 and button 2. Now there are 2 events in the shared flow, and we have set the replay value to 2. So when I tap on button 3, then the second collector will receive the recent 2 events. So now if I tap on button 1 again, then both of these collectors will receive the new event value. So now we need to understand that how it behaves differently from cold flow. So we will understand this with this table that here is the trigger feature. By default, the cold flow starts with starts when a collector is start, but the state flow and shade flow active immediately when the instance of the this one is created. Regarding the subscribers, cold flow starts execution for each collector separately. On the other hand, state flow and shade flow will emit the values to all the collectors at the same time. So this is a multicast behavior that the single value will be emitted to all the collectors. And regarding the initial value, cold flow do not require any initial value. On the other hand, in this state flow, we need to provide the initial value to the state flow. This can be an empty instance or default value in case of integer or any parameter. And for the shade flow, we do not require any initial value. By considering the best use, we for cold flow is we mostly use cold flow for reading data from database or fetching data from the network, and we use state flow for UI state management, and we use shade flow for the event like sending events from the view model to UI sites like navigation, toast, or any other event. Okay, so let's quickly recap what we have covered in this episode. We learned that what a host flow is, understand state flow and shade flow, how hot flows differs from cold flow, and when to use which one in Android apps. Now that you have understand hot flows, there is an important question. What if we already have a hot flow and want a cold flow and want a hot flow behaviors from that? That's exactly what we will cover in the next episode, that how we can convert a cold flow into hot flows and why this conversion is needed in real Android apps. If you have any question, let me know in comments below. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.